Hello, I'm Malcolm.
And I'm Janice. We all need second chances in life, no more so than the children of prisoners.
And are you too fat? Well, I am, but what can we do about it?
Next on our time. Your voice doesn't seem to be getting any better.
What are you talking about, Janice? It's perfectly lovely.
Have you been back to the doctor?
Yes.
Well,
it's getting better, but it's very slow.
Can we talk to the doctor about your voice again as well?
As a matter of fact, we could.
Yes.
Because Dr. Kerry's on today as well.
Yeah.
But I was reading the paper, as one does, because I still like the feel of paper, and I read an article about second chances here in South Australia.
Yeah.
And I found the article so interesting, I just had to get in contact with Helen Glanville, and she's here. Welcome, Helen.
Thank you very much for having me.
I never knew that this organisation even existed, and it never occurred to me what does happen to children whose parents are off having a holiday, so to speak.
Off having a holiday, yes, some holiday.
Unfortunately, they fall through the cracks. And there's actually research done about falling and dropping off the edge because nobody's counting. We don't have a federal prison system. And so the prison systems are associated with the state governments.
Yes.
So if you were to go to prison tomorrow and you were admitted tomorrow, they wouldn't actually ask or record how many dependents have you left behind.
Only the cat.
Oh, not for you, yes.
So this is where they are vulnerable. Some, of course, do have to go into state care. Sometimes grandparents step in and pick up the slack because they don't want their grandchildren in state care.
No.
But we have 1,100 children on our secure database, and it's estimated by the Commissioner for Children and Young People that in this state alone there could be 4,000, but nationwide there is 44,000 children of prisoners across the country.
Good heavens.
See, it's something you really don't...
No,
you don't pick up.
But your organisation, you said just before we started, 4 years? You've only been going for 4 years?
As an exclusive South Australian charity, but prior to that we were with a national movement for 20 years. But in the arena of working with children, we've been in this space for 11 years in September.
Right. So this is unique in this state, but the organisation is all over?
No. Second Chances SA is just that, an exclusive South Australian charity.
Right. I was amazed because it's obviously looked after with volunteers.
Yes.
And volunteers do the most amazing things. Restoring Hope to Broken Lives is this little brochure here, but all of the information about Second Chances is on your website, which is
secondchances.org.au.
It's right there.
Yes.
And if anybody's interested in finding out more or how you can donate, and what I found really interesting was the furniture side of things, the furniture warehouse and op shop, because I had no idea. I guess that's a way people can contribute if they don't have the cash.
Well, especially in South Australia, preferably the metropolitan area, we have a truck, and provided the furniture meets our needs for our clientele, we have 24 other agencies, so all the cares, Uniting Care, Centre Care, Baptist Care, Picker Care, they have clients and they often can provide housing, but they don't have the furniture. So we can turn a house into a home, and those furniture packages for their clients, whether they are clients who have been homeless or clients for domestic violence. So it's not just for former prisoners and their families, it's for the community as a whole. And we're in this space and have been quite successful for about 5 or 6 years. And but at Richmond Road, Richmond, that's where people can come. You can go shopping for your leather lounge at a very reasonable price, which could be a hand-me-down because people are downsizing.
Yes.
I know because I do remember going there when my mother-in-law went into a nursing home, and we had to obviously get rid of her furniture from her unit.
To share it, isn't it?
Well,
really
what else?
Share
No, but what else can he do?
Well, it's better than putting it out on the side of the road for hard refuse.
Yes,
so
exactly.
Give us a call, send us the photographs, we'll book in a time.
You
and
don't
we
want
can
rubbish,
collect.
of course.
No, and we can collect and we can deliver.
Right.
So it's a great band of volunteers, volunteer drivers, volunteers doing retail, and people come there too and learn how to do a little bit of retail. And we've found that people who volunteer at both the Furniture Warehouse and our op shop in Sturt actually get experience enough to move forward towards employment. So we can give them a bit of a reference for having been
work experience.
You got it.
So Helen, fantastic. It is something I never thought about, but somebody who is incarcerated, the chances are they will have a family, yes. I guess. Some of them may have grown up, but some of them may be very young. So what happens to babies?
Well, that's a very good question. Sometimes the partner is looking after them. Not always is the husband and wife or the partner, the pair together. Go both. Yeah. So it's often the woman, the mother is the one.
But do they can care for them in the prison for a while? They can actually have their children with them? No.
So that's a little bit of an issue at the moment. Pregnant women having babies is a bit of an issue at the moment compared to other states. But for the purposes of this program, we're interested in the children who are at home and who are missing their mum and dad. Because what happens for the child is they sometimes feel forced guilt. They sometimes feel, oh, daddy or mummy doesn't love me anymore. Yeah. What goes on in the mind of a child is quite interesting.
Well, grasping that their parent has done the wrong thing.
And or gone away. Sometimes the facts are kept from them. Sometimes they don't get to visit. But it's not their crime, therefore not their fault.
No, of course not.
But the moment it gets out into the playground, sometimes the other children aren't nice with their words. So, you know, your old man is in prison. Yep. And so that stigma can ride and rest with them and they feel the burden. So again, not their crime, not their fault. So we come along to them and to the caregiver to encourage them to stay the course. Because sometimes these kids go through so much emotional difficulty and hardship and they do miss their mum or dad, but they need to stay the course for their education. So where we can, we will support them with brand new school uniforms and shoes. We will do whatever it takes for them to stabilise and stay. So some community groups are giving us backpacks so that it takes some of the financial burden off the caregiver.
Right.
And we also provide birthday presents.
I was about to ask you about that. You're reading my mind.
Yes, because when mum or dad is in prison, they can apply on behalf of their child, would you please provide a birthday present? So they have the form. They're empowered to request a birthday present and we probably shift about 30 presents a month. And they're just to let the child know that they're accepted, they belong and they're valued.
And where do these presents come from for you then?
All
in
over
that
the
case?
shop. Donors. Sometimes we get an abundance of presents at Christmas time, which we honestly tell donors we will convert these into birthday presents throughout the year.
Yeah.
So nothing's wasted.
Right.
So we also provide...
But you do Christmas presents too, is what you're saying.
And the Christmas just gone, we delivered presents to 632 children. Into 6 prisons. And the reason we take them into prison is we're interested in mum and dad coming together. Yeah. So it's not mum and child in a community hall. It is the family coming together and mum and dad together enjoying the joy of the child opening their presents. And we're talking 2 brand new presents per child. We have donations, we have sponsors, and we're very keen on making sure that Christmas, they're not forgotten.
From what age group to what age group do you go to?
From birth all the way through to 16.
Okay.
That's for the presents.
Yeah.
That's an interesting point though. What happens after 16?
Well, we're embracing on a brand new project, which I'm busting and excited about, called Getting Ready for Takeoff. And it's for a test, trying and learn project, which we're embarking upon in March. The federal government has recognised this particular cohort to be vulnerable, to be welfare dependent.
Yes.
And so what we want to do with that is to break the cycle of welfare dependency, because under their roofs and a lot of homes, they don't see anyone getting up and going to work.
Yep.
So their work ethic isn't taught by demonstration. And so we want to show them that they can be whatever they choose to be. They can make good choices based on values that I think most Australians actually take for granted. So the value of respecting authority, that's a very important value. The value of being honest. See, I was so naive when I started this. I thought every mum and dad in Australia taught their child to be honest. That doesn't always happen in this particular cohort because 80% of crime is drug and alcohol related. And in that little subculture, there's a whole range of things that these children know and see that we're not even exposed to and we're not
every day of
understanding.
their lives.
Yeah, so it really is important that we come alongside them and tell them that they are special and precious and they can be whatever they choose to be.
Now, when you say they, though, who are they?
The children?
No, who are the people saying you can be whatever you want to be?
Oh, well, our volunteers on our PK mentoring camps. We run 9 camps a year and they start at primary age. We started around about 8 to 12 for a primary age camp, both in autumn and spring, and then they move on and graduate from a primary camp into a junior teen camp, and that's when they go off for junior boys and junior girls and junior boys and junior, and then senior. And so they progress. And right now I can tell you that as we've worked in this space for over 10 years, we've got 6 wonderful youth who are actually leaders. And the young packers coming through, they look up and they say, she's made it. And you would have seen in that article in the Sunday Mail where Montana and Ryan received the Premier's Award last year. Well, Montana's the first person in her family to have completed Year 12 and gone on to university. And she made a decision to herself when she was 15 at one of our camps. And we said, we will be with you so you can achieve and you can. So this is where we're going in the next step. The project is called Getting Ready for Takeoff.
That's wonderful.
And we're going to be able to sponsor whatever it takes, whether it's a little bit more one-on-one numeracy and literacy, whether it's a TAFE course, whatever it takes to build up their confidence.
A continuation. Yeah.
Yes.
Helen, that's it. Just stay with us because we've got to take a short break and we'll be back with our doctor and Helen after that. Am I a bees?
A bees. A bees. You sound like
It's not just the voice.
I know.
Last time Dr. Kerry was on the program, welcome Dr.
Yes,
Kerry.
hello.
Hi, Janice. Hi, Malcolm.
We said we had a viewer write in about shingles, and there's a viewer who's sitting opposite you who's concerned about getting too fat in old age.
Okay.
But you know, when I was a kid, I think everything we ate had sugar in it. And our teeth, my teeth, were rotten early, but I wasn't fat as a kid. But today there's a lot of, to be frank, overweight kids.
Children, that's true.
I was going to say fat kids, but I was far too polite.
Unfortunately, today there's an awful lot of overweight people in general. As a society, not just in Australia, in other Western countries, as a society, we're all getting larger. And the average body shape is changing and becoming a bit larger as well. Unfortunately, we're now starting to see that affecting our children.
And is the parents' fault? I mean, is it what we're giving our children from an early age?
You can't say it's the parents' fault as such, because to blame a set of parents who've got a child who's overweight and look at another family who maybe have got slightly different lifestyle or maybe different education and understanding, and they don't have an overweight child, it's not as simple as blaming the parents. I would blame society as a whole in terms of advertising being a huge problem.
Okay.
Availability of foods that are not healthy and good for us all the time, and a lack of availability.
And we don't
of good
cook as
nutritious.
much fresh food.
We don't cook as much fresh food. We don't. Our children have not got the same access to fresh food and vegetables because of cost, because some families simply can't afford to buy what is deemed as healthy food.
But there is more education in the school these days, isn't there, about
for
the children?
Yeah, much more education in terms of what are healthy snacks, what are the sort of sometimes foods, as the kids like to call it, or the treat foods. And there's also a few restrictions, I suppose, largely around sort of allergy food groups in terms of what the kids can and can't eat. But still, if you look at and it's not a criticism of the schools directly. I was doing a lunch order for one of my kids on Friday, and you sort of whiz past, because you do it all on your phone, whiz past all the pie options and whiz past all the chip options. But these are readily available to our our high school age children. And it's popular food, so who can blame them for wanting to have it?
I was just going to say though, for the littlies, a lot of schools actually have their own vegetable gardens, don't they? Which is a great introduction.
Yeah.
So they can actually watch the food growing, and then they're more likely to actually
try it as well in some of the primaries.
So you were watching the same TV program I've been watching. Clearly. Well, it's great that the ABC are running programs that are talking about those things, because it's making us all so much more aware of it.
Because there's a specific garden programme, isn't there? I can't remember the girl's name. Is it Stephanie Alexander?
There's many here.
Yeah, many. Not to mention one particular.
No, but we've had some of them on this program, in fact, talking about exactly that. I think the thing is, my generation, who are now a grandparent age, I guess, I don't know about you, but we were brought up with always having a dessert after a meal.
Yes.
But usually that was fresh fruit that had been preserved in sugar that our mums used to do, because you didn't get tinned food like that in those days. There was whipped cream, fresh cream. There was all the things that we sort of think are bad for us. But do you think it's because of that generation, literally after the war, it's the baby boomer generation, there was affluence that their parents weren't able to pass on.
Absolutely.
So to our age group, and it just became a common thing that we would have these sometime treat foods, birthday foods.
But I think also too, like I'm from a big family, and it was like you use, say, particularly if there was stale bread, you'd have bread and butter pudding.
Yeah, you use everything that's
to fill you up.
Waste, because you don't have the same amount of disposable income to be able to waste.
So what can we do about this?
So what we can do about it, I suppose, things like this, talking about it, not shying away. Certainly as a GP, sometimes you have patients in the rooms who clearly are overweight. How you go about addressing that with them is a really delicate issue, depending on what age they are, depending on whether it's male or female, who else is in the consult with them. But it's certainly something that education is important to try and address as early as possible with people.
Sure. But then, as you say, we get to our age, it's so much harder to shift the weight.
Oh, it's harder to shift weight when you're, I think, anything over 40.
Yeah.
Gradually, metabolism can slow down. Lifestyle maybe doesn't allow for the same amount of activity, dedicated activity, because you're maybe juggling more commitments with work or family, and then as you get older you're maybe juggling more commitments with grandchildren as well. So as a nation,
you think
we're not
that'd
as
keep you
active.
healthier, because you'd be up and down and running about?
But the availability of what you do for entertaining
children
give them a
these
phone.
Days. Give them the phone.
It's different.
That'll amuse them.
There's phones, there's cinemas, there's activities that often involve you being sedentary for long periods of time.
So, Kerry, all of these dietary things that we can go out and buy, there's shakes, there's pills,
there's all sorts.
Yeah.
There's all sorts.
Are they wise?
For every individual.
For the average person?
Again, you can't really talk about the average person
average.
Safely, medically, from a medical point of view. I can't talk about the average person. The average person could be obese, over 40, and really it's largely because their lifestyle has changed and they can't go to the gym anymore, and they maybe don't have the time to cook.
But don't talk about me so much.
Slightly over 40.
Talk about Janice.
But that person could also have high blood pressure. That person could also have undiagnosed diabetes. That person could also have other complications related to excess weight and obesity that you don't know about until you physically see that person and do a thorough consult for them. So that's why it's really important for people who are struggling with their weight. Yes, look at your lifestyle, look at the intake in the first instance. Our portion sizes are way oversized. unless you're at some fancy little
yes,
restaurant where you've got your small square.
Huge plate and a little...
Yeah, which nobody
Did
really
I buy
likes.
that? Yes.
But yeah, you can address your portion sizes. You can address the content of what's on your plate. So if you look at your average evening meal and there's no greens and there's no coloured veg, then you know you can add those things in and that will make a huge difference. But also if you are thinking about a good weight loss programme and something that is for the long term rather than just a short term fix, it's helpful to see your general practitioner. It's helpful to consider if there are other health complaints that are present that you don't know about.
So that's when really, yeah, but also to have your blood test done.
Yeah, have blood tests done, have your blood pressure checked,
yeah.
have blood tests done. Some people have got undiagnosed high blood pressure that's maybe been impacting their kidneys for a number of years. So having some blood testing, having some urine testing, these things can be really helpful.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that can be done in the GP's rooms as well without you necessarily having to go to one of the labs to have tests done. There's a lot of things we can do on this spot.
Yeah, that is a good thing. So, as a GP, do you recommend specific diets? Because, for example, everyone's talking about the low-carb diet, the high-protein diet, the this, the that, the whatever. In fact, we were just talking on the way in, and you're going to try...
Well, it's something that's been around for years, the grapefruit diet. I was a friend of mine today, she said, oh, let's try this one. It's been around forever, I think, but...
my mother used to do that.
Yeah.
I think whatever you do, because I see a lot of patients and they'll come and they've tried this, the next thing. I'm not going to suggest that everybody does low carbs, that everybody does a paleo, everybody does a plant-based diet, because everybody's an individual. You've got to think about something that's sustainable for your patient. You've got to think about the long-term goals and what you're trying to achieve. The majority of diets, whether they're fad diets, whether they're shakes, whether they're meal replacements, people are going to lose weight. People are going to lose weight within the first month or 6 weeks because naturally they're changing what their intake is.
And they're not eating as much.
And they're not eating as much. So that's always something where people then think, I've had success. It then can plateau because you have to have other things. It's not just about what you put in your body, it's about activity levels. It's about the amount of sleep that you have. For some people, it can be that there are hormonal changes they're going through, which may or may not need to be addressed medically, but you need to accept that there are certain times, in particular for women, where it may be a struggle to lose weight.
What about men? Do men go through the same sort of change of life?
Not so much in terms of huge hormonal changes. You know, with women there is a huge flux with estrogen in particular, which can impact how your body responds to insulin, which then controls your blood sugars. We don't see that so much with men. But as are you looking for an experience? I'm allowed to say that. Yes, I'm allowed to say that too.
No, I started getting heavier. I'm just thinking back. Certainly when I stopped performing to the extent that I used to, where we were rehearsing,
constantly,
2 nights a week,
working. Playing
4 nights a week. But also I had my gallbladder removed, and from that time on I seen my weight is, up and down, up and down.
Do you think the gallbladder being removed, you might then have, before that, been modifying what you were eating so that you didn't flare the gallbladder?
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
I think... And we're getting a wind-up, so I'll have to wait and get an answer to that later. We'll be back in a moment with both of our guests to talk about...
What will we talk about?
Not much on my case. It sounds like a rusty tin. No. See you in a tick. Welcome back. We have Helen.
Thank goodness you're back.
Yes.
What the conversation was
we were
not
talking
good.
about gallstones. Helen, last bit of advice for people generally about the children of prisoners.
It's very important that we make the community aware, because it's this particular cohort that are 6 to 7 times more likely to go to prison than any other group in the community. Because just like their dad, it's a generational thing. We need to see the cycle broken and we need to get in early, and that's what we do. And it's very important to keep them in school. So they are a vulnerable at-risk group. A lot of people aren't aware, and it's very important not to put them down, because not their crime, not their fault.
Kerry, and apart from smaller size meals,
Yep,
what
think
else
about
should we do?
activity levels, do something that's free, get out to a local park, maybe get out to a local park run Saturday mornings. It's free activity, family involved. Take your dog, take your children, take your grandparents.
I've started. We'll see you next time. Keep yourself nice till then. Thank you very much, ladies.
Bye for now.